So, hi. Um, Due to the nature of my work, I meet a lot of successful people, like Oscar winning actors, directors, musicians. There's a thing that all of those people have in common, and this is that they truly, truly love what they're doing. So, they are not doing it as a side hustle, they are not doing it, during the weekends after they do something else. So this is something they're truly passionate about. Imagine a Nobel Prize winning scientist who's just not that much into science, or villain from a Batman movie that doesn't really like doing evil things, but just kind of does it. It doesn't really work this way. And I think you cannot be successful in something that you just do not like. So even though I'm not as famous as my subjects, I still kind of managed to build a pretty decent international career. I learned a few things on the way from being a little girl in a tiny coal mining town in Ukraine to then being a local photographer in Moscow to then becoming kind of a recognizable photographer and director globally. So, first things first, and this is something that I already told you about actually, is that you gotta be honest with yourself about what you truly like. What is that thing that you are ready to do after hours? What is that thing that you're ready to do for free? And if there is such a thing, you're already doing quite well because you gotta go for it. You'll have a way better chance of succeeding because in the long run, you'll find this thing easy and fun while your competitors may find it difficult and even boring. So you'll just outperform them while moving towards your goals. When you found the thing that you really like, the best idea would be to try to get a job in that field. And I know this is compelling to just, find a day job at Starbucks and then do your thing during the weekends. But the truth is, that doesn't really work this way because you won't be able to make that time that you need to make this your profession. So a good idea would be to find even a lowest paid job in your field and start your career right away because that's actually the starting point, in your profession. And I remember my first job as a photographer. I was awful. I was so bad, but somehow I got a job at sort of an agency that sold images from events, red carpet things, to the magazines. And my contract was that I got to go to an event and I will take the pictures. And if they manage to sell them, I'll get paid. But if they don't sell them, I won't get paid. And I was studying journalism back then. And I was studying during the day. Then I would go to an event. I would take the pictures. Then I would go home and edit those pictures up until 4 or 5 in the morning on what I now think was like the slowest computer in human history. And then I would repeat it 5 times a week. So 3 months later, I turned 18 and I got my first paycheck. And the paycheck was for $200 for almost 50 shoots. So I got paid like $4 per shoot. But looking back at what I shot, that's kind of fair. It was so bad. But during those years, I managed to get the skills that I later would need that would help me not to blow up the opportunities that I had in front of me. And I was working in like crazy lightning circumstances. I was managing to talk celebrities into posing for me real quick and managing to take a really good shot pretty quickly. And eventually that became my key feature as a photographer and sort of built my professional approach where I can execute a good portrait really fast. Later when I switched to portrait photography and kind of specifically celebrity photography, it really became in handy because you never have time with celebrities. So you got to do that quick. When you manage to find the skills that you need, the opportunities will come. And we moved to America in 2016. And I think a month later, a funny thing happened. And it was kind of a chance for me to use my skills. So my husband and I, we went to a concert of a small British indie band. And it was so small that people didn't really come to listen to it. There were like 20, maybe 30 people waiting for the band to come on stage. And my husband says, "Don't look back. Shia LaBeouf's walking towards us." Shia LaBeouf, the actor. And I'm thinking that he's joking, and I look back and there's Shia LaBeouf. And there are just not that many people, so he had to go to someone, and he went to us. And we started chatting, and my husband and I were both photographers, so we're like smiling, but we're having this inner conversation. How do we shoot the guy? How do we do this? And we don't have cameras or anything. So at some point, Dima, he whispers into my ear, "Don't let him leave." And he runs out of the club and he runs to our place to bring a camera. And I'm like dancing around Shia, and I'm trying, like to pretend to be a good friend, I guess. And at some point he says, "I'll go smoke." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, let's go smoke." And we go outside, and he gives me a cigarette, and I start smoking. And I never smoked in my entire life. So I start coughing like a baby, and he laughs at me because he realizes that I just wanted to hang out with him no matter what. So yeah, and I'm so embarrassed that I'm just saying the way it is, that I'm a photographer, I'm from Russia, and it would mean a lot to me if I could take a few pictures of you, even though I know it's not the way how it's done, but please. And he's sweet, and he says, "Yeah, okay. Just okay, take your camera and let's do it." And I don't have a camera. I don't have anything. And I'm like frozen. And at this moment, Dima, he drives by in our old BMW, and he just throws the camera at me. And Shia's like, "I knew that guy disappeared for a reason." And I'm scared and embarrassed. And still, we are just walking around the building, and we're taking a few pictures. And eventually, GQ made a story about it and published them. So this was kind of cool. Yeah. And the funny thing is that when you happen to execute such a slim chance of winning, you sort of start to notice those opportunities more clearly. And you are ready to risk more when you see the chance, of making something great. And a few years later, I got another cool thing that happened to me. I got like a dream job request. Omega was looking for a photographer to shoot Nicole Kidman while she was attending the event that Omega made in St. Petersburg. So I was like, "Damn, Nicole Kidman, dream job, I'm coming." And I came there. And they said, "Julia, we are sorry, Nicole brought her own photographer. So we don't really need you. You can hang out. You can just, look at how the things are going, but we don't need a photographer." And I was sad, obviously, and I went to my hotel room ready to dive into depression right there. But I've heard that there is a press brunch the next day. And I just sneaked in. I just took my camera and I just went there, even though I wasn't really invited. And I stand in a distant corner of the room, and I just took a few pictures, and she noticed me, and she didn't like it. She didn't like that I sneaked in and took the pictures, and no one, I think, liked that. But I left. No one kicked me out. I left on my own, just so you know. And I quickly edited the pictures on my iPhone. I just did it really quickly. I sent it to the client before everyone else did. And no one replied to me, and I'm like, okay, this is the end of the story. But no. A few hours later, I'm shooting something outside of the Marble Palace. I look at my phone, and I've got tons of missed calls and text messages, and they're like, Julia, come here. Nicole wants you to take pictures of her. You'll have 5 minutes. And I'm running there, and I'm sweaty, and I look almost as crazy as I look now. And I'm nervous and I don't have any lenses or like lights or anything. So I'm running there and I take some pictures of her and they're okay. They're really nice. And eventually, those pictures ended up being in the official press release and everything. And I'm like, wow, I did it. And this is the end of this beautiful story, but it's not. A few months later, Omega emails me and they're asking me to come to Shanghai for Nicole to shoot her again because she kind of liked the pictures. And I'm like, what? And I'm going there, and it's not only Nicole Kidman, but also like Cindy Crawford, also Alessandra Ambrosio, all those gorgeous, beautiful women. And this is such a wonderful project, and I'm still really proud, that I happened to be a part of it. And actually, that's also not the end of the story, because Omega also invited me to other projects of theirs, and they even flew me to NASA, where I shot like the astronauts that actually were on Apollo missions, the astronauts that went to the moon, which is really crazy. And this kind of leads me to my final point. I don't think I was ready to any of those events like a month before they happened. So the third thing that I think is crucial, and all those three things together actually, in my opinion, like beat the talent and all that. But the third thing is that you don't really should rush yourself and don't try to speed things up, because it's really, really sad to face the opportunity that you have to miss because you're simply not ready for it. And honestly, usually it's not really just a missed opportunity, but your career can actually shift in the other direction because of that opportunity that you've missed. And even though it sounds kind of sad, if you actually nail the first thing I told you about and you like whatever that is that you do, the process of doing your job actually will bring you so much joy that you won't worry as much about, time passing by. And in such a case, your success will be more of a side effect of you doing the right thing and having joy from your work other than a destination. Thank you.